Okay. All right. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for connecting. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Marlene Reyes, and I'm going to give you a little bit of background information. I come from the industry of education, and through that industry, I have learned that it applies to any other industry out there in order to lead with productivity and enhance their particular specialization. So for the purposes of today, being that you are realtors, I'm going to go ahead and talk about how you can open up a pipeline of potential buyers, so your pipeline of leads, utilizing a platform that I have had experience with now for 5.5 years. And I personally am a product of the products and services that I will be sharing with you today. It is educational based, hence the educator in me comes into play. But it is also a financial product that is bundled. So regardless of if the goal is to purchase a house or to qualify for any type of credit line, it is considered, to me, in my opinion, a wonderful protection of the family as a whole because of all of the services and components built in. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen at this time. And I will be sharing the products and services for United Credit Education Services. Now, I am an independent consultant, and I am affiliated with United Wealth Education. And through them, we are partnered with several very reputable companies. United Credit Education Services is a component through our nonprofit, which is the Youth Financial Literacy Foundation. So not only are we empowering individuals in the community, giving a service that realtors can leverage to open up a pipeline of future buyers, or even so, as your productivity coach, Joel, is always saying, giving you those contact points for conversation. If you just help somebody become a renter, well, when you go further on and have that touch point conversation about putting them in position to buy next, now you have a platform that opens up that discussion as well. So United Credit Education Services is a company that has been opened and functioning for 20 years. So it says 19 years, it's actually 19 and plus. We just made 20 years. The products and the services are designed to help the families across the country. So these services are nationwide. So if you are a realtor who has sent a referral lead to someone in another state or vice versa, and you find that perhaps you're a good candidate for a rental property, but not the good candidate yet for purchasing a home, you have the services in front of you that will assist you in helping that individual align themselves and be ready for that moment in time. Company is debt-free. We lead by example. So our corporate office is located in Farmington Hills, Michigan, and all representatives work remotely. And for example, in my case, again, because I will use myself as the example, I live in South Florida. However, I work with realtors in Las Vegas, Nevada. I work with realtors in Dallas, Texas. I work with other educators in North Carolina, and then realtors here in South Florida as well. And so that is the beauty of the fact that we are countrywide. We have a dedicated and consistent corporate management team, as well as remote leaders. And when I say remote leaders, I'm basically referring to we, just like many real estate brokerages, also have the ability to create our own teams. And so therefore, we're also representing and being part of a network much larger than what is within our local community. We pride ourselves on education. So we always talk about how 1 in 4 Americans have a credit score of less than 650. And you might say, well, Marlene, you know what, 650, I can actually get someone to qualify for a home. And that's great, maybe you can. But were you able to get it at the absolute best interest rate for them? And so this is a conversation you can have. You can say, let's lock you into this property, but let's start working on your credit so that we can then futuristically, maybe 2-3 years from now, or 1 to 2 years from now, have the opportunity to refinance you and bring down the debt. So we're always telling individuals to, you're married to the property, but you don't have to be married to the rate, because we're offering a solution to help you improve that scenario, which in turn they'll be eternally grateful for, because now you've also saved them money from those interest rates and put it right back into their pockets. And here's an example. Poor credit can ruin the entire family's future. It's not just about the one individual. So your typical family has a mortgage loan, credit card, personal loans, auto loans, maybe in some cases, which once upon a time was me, student loans. So if their credit is in the fair credit scoring range, you're going to be looking at this column. And if their credit has been moved into the very good credit score range, then you're looking at this column. But everyone that we're looking at the same loan amounts. So a family who took out a mortgage loan of $253,000 and some, right? If they're in the fair credit score range, they're going to end up paying $261,076. But if their credit score was improved, then you've just saved them a whopping almost $42,000, because they'll end up paying $219,600. And just like that, it applies to the credit cards, personal loans, and any other credit line that they may have. These comparables, it's not because of the amount that they chose. It's not because of the breakdown and how long they're going to pay it. It's simply because of the credit score range that they fell in. And so I tell individuals, you got the loan, congratulations. That's step one. Let's get you in the best financial position you can possibly be by building that credit score and now saving the monies back into your pocket so that you can then futuristically invest. And as realtors, it could be invest in a rental property. It could be refinancing the property that already exists. So there are just so many other ways that we can utilize that money. Now, part of the program also educates on how the credit score is calculated. And so many individuals that I have come across personally as a representative of this company, they will tell me, oh, my credit is fantastic. I pay everything on time. However, little do they know, and again, it's a lack of education, that their score is broken up into 5 factors. And perhaps as realtors, you are a little more familiar with this, but are you really familiar to how you can manipulate it, right? And so the first factor is 35%, which is payment history. So yes, for that client that says I make all my payments on time, applaud them, because the biggest chunk of the scoring is receiving the most positive points reporting. Now, if that same person tells you, I don't understand, I make all my payments on time and I don't see my score changing, then the second question in that conversation would be, well, let's take a look at the statements of the credit lines you currently have. And you find out that they are 30% or above on the total credit line offered to them, so the usage is high. Then 30% of that same score is being affected negatively. Now, notice between category 1 and 2, there's only a 5% difference. So all the positive is pretty much null and void with the fact that they are above the accepted, quote unquote, right, amount of usage in debt that they should be having. Now, moving into that, we go into 3 other categories that don't have such a big punch, but yet for you as a realtor can make the difference between someone qualifying or not. Why? Because some people can qualify for a specific program just by a 1-point increase. It puts them in a different bracket, right? So length of credit affects you by 15%. New credit inquiries impact at a 10%. And the guideline is to monitor. You don't want to have more than 3, max 5 new inquiries within a year and a year and a half time frame, because those inquiries will sit there like a duck. And every time that they are pulling up again, trying to attempt to get new credit lines, right there and then, it's another fresh amount. And you know what? Some of these inquiries are in the control of the client, but some of the inquiries are not, especially right now. For example, how can I say, interest rates have gone up. Creditors already know that balances are going to be affected. So they may do a credit inquiry just to see what they should be doing with the credit line you currently have. So I have seen individuals be affected by having a credit line reduction, not because their payment history was poor, not because their credit utilization was necessarily poor, but that's now the creditors protecting themselves of what could potentially spiral out of control. So sometimes things are adjusted, and that will also fall on a credit file as a credit inquiry, okay? Types of credit. You don't want to have a client with 7 revolving credit lines. You don't want to have a client with all installment loans. The same way that you would wisely select a diversification for your money investments, then the guidance to a customer should also be you want to have a diversification of credit lines. So some will be revolving, others will be installments, someone may be variable, some may be personal loans, and then always with your mortgage lender, have the discussion, because based on my experience with a few of the credit lenders that I have spoken with, to qualify for a mortgage line, the ideal scenario, right, is a minimum of 2 credit lines to their name. And then from there you build. So it could be somewhere between 3 to 5 credit lines ideally, and that it should be diversified. But how do these percentages translate into points? And this is where now we can analyze further. Payment history was your 35%. So in points, positive points towards that total 850 credit score, it translates into 297.5 points. So if you find that the person really needs to work on their payment history, well, that's where the bulk of the points are going to lie. And we want to make sure we stress the importance of that. Amount used, 255 points. So as we start to help them decrease their debt or balances on those cards or trade lines, then you're going to also be seeing a significant growth. These two up here are crucial for a customer to understand how together it is a powerful source to get us moving in the right direction. Length of credit, 127.5. And why do I want to stop and focus on this one for a second? Many individuals pay off their debt and then they decide they want to close them because they don't want to fall into the habit of having all these credit lines used up again. Well, some credit lines, unfortunately, will close regardless. Your installment loans is a good example of that. But the positive history remains. However, when a credit line closes, it affects the amount of credit limit that you originally had. So by default, it will also impact the score temporarily, right? These points. Now, when a person consciously goes and closes an account, that's fine, but they have to understand that it is going to take a negative impact for a short time period in 2 categories, because it's going to change for how long they've had these positive trade lines, and it is also going to change the credit limit that they had as opposed to the amount that they have used overall at that given moment. New credit lines that they open will add approximately 85 points. Types of credit used adds in the component again of a total of 85 points. When everything is perfectly aligned, then you get to that wonderful total of 850, okay? Now, let's look at the other side. Sometimes people do everything that they have to do, and they're still saying, I don't understand why my credit score isn't going up, or why it's fluctuating, or why it dropped this month. And the truth of is, 1, it could be a credit report error. That might be part of it. Or 2, it's not necessarily an error. It just, that's the way it appeared at that given moment when their credit ran. So I tell people your credit score is kind of just like your weight. When you weigh yourself in the morning, your digits are a certain number. Depending on what goes on through the day, what you eat, how much you drink, etc., then by the nighttime, your weight will fluctuate 2, 3, sometimes even 4 pounds. It all depends. And the same thing happens with your credit report. Balances at the time that it's pulled may not be correct because the creditor has not reported yet to the actual credit bureau. The incorrect credit limit, that could be an error that's reporting altogether, or like I had just used as an example prior, maybe your credit limit was reduced and by the time your credit file was pulled, it was reported in such a way, but you had not received that notification, or maybe you just simply weren't aware. You didn't really take a look in depth at your own credit card line. Anybody who makes a late payment has a potential loss of up to 110 points. So late payments and maxing out your cards are almost equivalent at 110 point potential loss. Collection accounts that are sitting there fermenting on a credit file can have an impact of a potential loss of up to 160 points. And a bankruptcy that does get posted to a credit bureau has a potential point loss of 240 points. Now, with a bankruptcy, items can still be disputed as well, but with a bankruptcy, with time, as everything else, it heals, right? And then it's a rebuilding process. And for you as realtors, you have lenders that can even guide you as to someone with a bankruptcy, X amount of years after, or 1 year after, with this much score, can get in position to qualify. So again, it's all about education and knowing where the services that I'm discussing can potentially assist, and where the knowledge of the expertise within your network can also help guide you. So we also go into, did you know? 1.4 million identity theft claims were made. This was based off of 2020. And you know that we live in a world where we're consistently being alerted about protecting username passwords and be careful of the links and so forth and so on. But how many people have actually set up a system that will intervene on their behalf? And I find, even though we know all this, there are many that still have not done anything to be proactive to protect their identity. 14.6 trillion in American household debt was reported in 2021, as according to debt.org. And just recently, once again, it was discussing how that debt has actually almost gone up 3 times as much. 64% of Americans are expected to retire with less than $10,000 in their retirement savings account. So good practices that we try to teach through our program is savings. You should have, number 1, savings account with an emergency fund of $1,000. Then there should be a second savings account that you are educating on, because you want them to start saving slowly, to have at least at a minimum 3 months worth. 3 to 6 months is the ideal, but at least a minimum of 3 months worth, in case there is a health scare that prevents you from working and having that income, in case there's a job loss or even like a reduction of hours at the workforce. And the reason being for that is because our goal at the end of the day is to help them protect whatever their net worth is at that given moment in time. 60% of Americans lack a will or estate planning. We provide through our services as well 2 power of attorneys, 1 for financial decisions and 1 for health. And then we talk about the student loans. Well, you're going to see also how we can also assist somebody who is overwhelmed with the concept that they're going to have to be repaying, because it's happening now, right? So we save our client base money, actually, because the few that do have an identity protection, I find, have to pay out of pocket for those services regardless. So we are partnered with Allstate Identity Protection, known as Privacy Armor, and that is embedded in our program. And then for the purposes of real estate, we are also partnered with Rocket Lawyer. So there are many real estate documents that you can download straight from there for you as a realtor, but there's also documents in there that can also assist your clients. And maybe it's not related to the purchase. It could be related to breaking a lease. It could be related for them to create a lease. There are just so many other legal forms that are also available to our client base, in addition to the actual representation and service of an attorney. And again, this is at a nationwide level. So what is it exactly that I'm sharing with you? It is known as the protection plan. The program has a bundle of financially good practices embedded all together. And I'm not going to lie, the credit restoration is our flagship product or service. And what happens is that many people don't realize that the reason they're facing these credit struggles is because their financial scenario is not in alignment for whatever the reason may be. It could be a lack of sufficient income. It could be that there was a shift in employment. And so through that, we start helping with the most basic of situations, which is the budgeting. Once you teach a person how to get their budget and their cash flow management back under control, then the rest kind of starts to fall in place because we're building good habits and we're attacking the scenario strategically. So while we are working on the budget, for those that have the scenario of the need of repairing their credit, then the credit restoration is embedded. And our company does leverage the Fair Credit Reporting Act. So it is a process. Once the hard pull, because it is a hard pull, once the credit is pulled, and it is a hard pull, and it's going to be analyzed by our department, then their letters are created. It is created at the exact same time, disputing any negative information that is currently appearing on their file, right? So it gets reviewed by the client, signed off by the client, and they have an option. They can either have corporate send it off directly to the bureaus for them, or they can print, put an authentic blue ink signature, attach their verification, which is their license and their social, and have that mailed out to the credit bureaus as well. Okay, now once that is done, the process is simple because it follows what the law permits. The credit bureaus will then open their side, their file, their investigation. They must validate and collect verification information in order to say that that item must stay. If they fail in any way with that component of validating or verifying, then the item that is reported on the credit bureau files must be deleted as per the Fair Credit Reporting Act. And so this process will then now trigger that the bureaus will send an update report to our client base. And when that report is received, it gets submitted as simple as scan and send via email to our corporate office, where our department will then reanalyze to see what needs to be refreshed in the client portal, which I will show you in a minute, or redispute by creating the legal letters again, now changing or elevating what is allowed by law as the terminology for dispute. Now, Credit Builder is a segment within that has templates of letters that for a realtor is true empowerment, because you may come across a client that this program per se is not something that they're ready for, but there may be something on their report that we need to take care of quickly. And your lender will tell you, I need them to do A, B, and C. So in Credit Builder, we have templates of letters that were already created by our legal department in order for you to adjust. So it could be something as offering a settlement, or in the settlement, making sure the statement that they will delete the account from the credit report upon payment, or whatever the case is. So this is a powerful tool, not just for your client, but it facilitates for you as the realtor to get them in motion and moving forward. Credit attorney is built in. They can email this. The credit attorney for the protection plan is actually for harassment or for errors beyond a reasonable doubt. They will actually take it to litigation once discussed with the client, okay? Credit monitoring, as I stated earlier, offered by Allstate, which is Privacy Armor. And we have the debt payoff system, which helps our clients bring their debt to income ratio back in balance. And for those clients that may be like me, for example, who was looking to do a career change and wanted to retire out of the system that I was previously working for, it helped me, which I was the average person, align my finances to be able to say, I am financially independent enough now to transition and not worry about paycheck to paycheck. So this is a beautiful tool right here as well. And it helps many people avoid a debt consolidation program. It's also an alternative a very strong alternative to someone who's also considering even a bankruptcy. So the combination of the credit builder letters and the debt payoff system can help someone avoid two very disastrous scenarios, okay? Rocket Lawyer, as mentioned earlier, is also embedded, and I will log in to show you just a few of the sample items that I was discussing. Financial Lockbox allows the client to keep all their important documents, username, passwords, uploaded into a cloud so that in the event that some type of disaster or scenario out of their control takes place, or even things that happen to us, things that we get lost. Maybe you were traveling. This true story. This happened just recently. A client was on a cruise and she lost her passport, but she was able to access it straight off of her phone through her financial lockbox. So right there, they were able to let her get back on board and sort the rest of the things off when she got back to the mainland. Identity monitoring also built in. Net worth, we help individuals figure out where they are as far as assets and liabilities. And for you realtors, you can actually use this tool to show somebody how, yes, you purchased the home and it's considered, believe it or not, a liability. However, we can flip this liability into an asset by now having it become perhaps your first investment rental property. And let's get you buying another property to live into. And the beauty starts to unfold. Savings goal person, it's really an accountability type of program. The person will create the goal. They will make a commitment as to how much they wish to save. And then the rest is history, because you will dictate what you're going to do biweekly, and the program will reach out to you, whether it's a text or an email, as a friendly reminder, trying to keep you on track. Will and Trust, for those clients that just purchased a home, they can now protect their one of the largest investments that they probably will ever make in their lives. Now, for someone who's a renter, that's still fine. You can still offer it to help protect themselves, and if they have children, to help protect their children. Because if something was to happen to that parent, God forbid, and nothing was in writing, then those children become wards of the state until everything is sorted out. Why put a child through that when you can easily have documentation already stating what your intentions were for your child in case of some severe emergency or your absence? And then YFL Family Mint is built in. It's a very fun, family-friendly way to educate the children within your household, but it's also an opening door for realtors to have partnerships with schools and make themselves known as that friendly realtor within their communities, right? So here are some true examples of increases from clients that I have had. You'll see in the background, this is the monitoring system itself that we use. We have Ultra Score, so they will get their score from all 3 credit bureaus, and it will delineate everything that is reporting to each individual bureau. So you can see from a 145-point increase to a 24-point increase. Listen, in my world and in the world of all the realtors that I've worked with, sometimes a 5-point increase is the game changer. So I always tell individuals, don't focus so much on that one moment refresh, focus on the bigger picture and where we want their credit file to be and their overall finances to be to achieve that goal. And so this is just a quick little documentation. This is me, I retired, got my Cadillac, all my finances were done, interest rate was great because my credit score and my financial scenario was aligned. This right here is actually my daughter. At the moment in time she was pregnant, she was still driving the car that I had bought her. And although she did not have an issue with any negative credit, she did need to build credit. And so building credit took her to the pathway of buying her own vehicle. And fast forwarding from there 2 years later, she then also bought her first property. So needless to say, financial literacy education is truly something that makes the difference between someone achieving the goals or their dreams or not, okay? Now, Talia is an insurance agent in North Carolina who also used our program, and she is a single mom who purchased the home that you see right behind her. And then Miss Bianca Diaz, she's actually a realtor in Las Vegas, Nevada, who herself had gone through, like many of us do, a life scenario that put her in position where she took a hit in her finances, which then in turn took a hit to her credit. So through our program services and implementing what she preaches, she herself was able to buy the home you see behind her, ground up, and go ahead and put it exactly how she wished to have it. And with that being said, as promised, I'm going to close this out behind me because I want to take you directly to the website now so that you can see firsthand what I'm saying to you. Every client that we have receives access to their own client portal. So they do not necessarily need to rely on you to get the most recent update, to refresh their credit score, or any of the above. And this right here, they can also download through our friendly app, which is free, to their phone. And from there, they can also navigate and do the rest. Now, one of the things that I absolutely love about this company, besides the fact that it's at their fingertips, is that it also provides a roadmap. A roadmap that lets your client know where they are and what is to be expected to happen next. So they will not be calling you every 2 weeks to say, okay, now what? Okay, now what? No, because they have it right in their portal. And needless to say, perhaps you as a realtor who's working with that client that didn't qualify can also know what else can you verbally now initiate a conversation about with them to get them to the next level. So month one, we're going to activate all the services. There's videos. Every time you see one of these little arrows, there's a video embedded in there as well to show along with what is being read or what is being said to them. So another component of this program that I love is that it addresses the different styles of learning that an individual may have. And for those of you that work with the Spanish market or the Hispanic market, it is also adjustable to the native language. So the only thing I am going to say is that this translates directly from Google. And so if you are truly a proficient Spanish speaker, sometimes you're going to look at it and say, that didn't really translate the way it should have. But for the average Spanish speaking person, the gist of it is there and it is truly understandable. Now, with that said, if you are working with a realtor who perhaps their language is Haitian Creole or French, you can also change it to those languages as well, which for me is another level of empowerment between a realtor and their client base, okay? Now, on top of the fact that it gives you the roadmap, what should be happening, 2 to 3, 4 to 6, right now we're working on that debt. At this point, we're already getting in position to qualify, okay? So if you have someone who's a renter, be very cautious or be very aware of how long do they have remaining on their lease, because some cases are a little more challenging than others. You know that everyone's credit file is not made up equally. Okay, it's not cookie cutter. Okay, establishing family security because we're going to create the will and trust. And then we're going to also make sure we have all our financial documents protected and secure in the financial lockbox. We're going to start developing what is our next goal. Okay, so we bought the house. Now what? What's your next goal? And then from there, you're going to factor in family. So if there's children, what are the future expenses in that household looking like? Are we saving for college tuition? Do we want to take a special family vacation? And all of this is built in through the 12 services that are embedded in the program. And then once they are at the 10 plus mark, at this point, it's just a matter of continuously practicing the better habits. And that for me is like I tell them, it's a lifestyle. And if you wish to maintain a certain lifestyle, then those good practices must be maintained. Now, customer service number, as I had mentioned to you, you have a whole corporate office working on your behalf, is listed right on their portals as well. Corporate office will send text messages and emails directly to your client. We have webinars that are created just for our client to learn how to navigate and to learn each service one step at a time as well. And then there's tips on ongoing financial maintenance. So taking it through here, I just want to show you, I'm going to go ahead and clock into the Rocket Lawyer. And I'm going to do, again, here it is. There's a video showing what Rocket Lawyer is, the simple breakdown of the legal documents and so forth. But I'm going to go ahead and log in as me. And I truly hope I didn't forget who I am. But I think I've got it. Hold on. And this way you'll see firsthand what is available to you from a business standpoint, as well as an extra tool that you can use and leverage for your client base itself. Good, I didn't forget who I was on Rocket Lawyer. I keep changing my emails and that starts to become a problem to remember. All right, so I'm here in my dashboard. This is me specifically. I had a rental property and I needed to get them out. So I used it for the Florida eviction. It follows the law. The information is there. Then at another point, I used it to file my own business and to create that operating agreement itself. Now, because I had questions on my own operation agreement to make sure that I was truly putting this correctly by the laws of Florida, I was able to ask the question directly to an attorney instead of having to outsource an attorney and pay an additional cost. So this right here is a powerful tool as well for you all as realtors in case there is a scenario within your purchase that you must have some sort of legal expertise in asking. This is a free tool to you as well. Credit freeze requests I have used for clients myself. Quick claim deed I have utilized myself to add on family members to a home that was already purchased previously, and perhaps at that moment in time they weren't married and they reached a moment where they wanted to add them on. Okay, through our Rocket Lawyer service, you also have the e-sign ability as well. So signing documents electronically, receiving it right back, it is all at your fingertips. But if we go now into real estate, or let's just put realtor, let's see what it tells me. Oop. Okay, maybe I do need to put real estate. Hold on. Okay, so search results for real estate through the Rocket Lawyer. Are we talking about commercial real estate? Some of you I know work commercial properties. Are we talking about the intent to purchase real estate? Are we talking about how to start a real estate business? Do you need a real estate attorney, a contract for a deed, title insurance? Again, real estate agent agreements. Should I incorporate my real estate business? So everything and anything under the sun from the legal standpoint will be embedded in here for you. Calculating your federal estate taxes, so forth and so on. But now let's say that you want real estate documents. Let's go here in documents. Okay, so you can make your own document through here. And although I know that we use a standard case for Florida, and we have it for the purpose of Canvas Real Estate through .loop, I just want you to know the empowerment is embedded here for a realtor at any given level across the country, right? Now, other things that are embedded here for you as well, let me go back one, so I don't see it. Okay, right here is the most popular documents that exist within real estate itself. We might be looking at it from the standpoint of you representing a landlord or homeowner or the tenant. So you have lease agreements, eviction notices, the intent to purchase the real estate, the quick claim deeds, any commonly answered questions and the answers provided to you. And if not, then you go ahead and you type it in here and you ask the lawyer and they will reply to you right away or set up a time if you want something a little further. Now, the beauty of this component is that every 30-minute consultation, as long as it is on a different topic, right? It is free for you as one of the reps of the company or as a client that you may currently have, right? And so I'm going to go there now to stop and share, stop the share. Because Moving forward from here, the services as a whole for our client base, there is a one-time setup fee. It is $179, and that includes their first month. From that point forward, it's $89 a month for the services. There is no contract. So if you have helped your client that was originally the renter or originally unqualified, but they mentioned to you they were looking to buy a house 6 months to a year from now, you have now guided them through the steps necessary to be aligned and ready to go. So that's going to take you back to those point touches with the client base and building that relationship. And so once you've done that, you've retained the loyalty of that customer. And the chances of that customer is now going to a different realtor is very, very slim to none. And so that is one of the reasons I'm passionate about this program, besides the fact that I'm a product of the product, because I find this quite often, the difference between realtors having that client retention, for one, is the relationship building. But if you're not sure what it is you're trying to build within that relationship, then that relationship building kind of gets lost. And so this is a target. This particular program allows them to be able to see how they have navigated from maybe not such a favorable time frame in their life to a position where now so many other doors unlock. And there was one more thing I did want to show that I didn't. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now really quick. Besides the fact that you are able to help them with the actual purchasing and so forth, I want you to know that we also have embedded in here what is called your financial marketplace. So a client that maybe used you for a car, but now they're your client also for here, can also refinance a vehicle if needed, because now their credit is in a better position. They will go to the auto loan refi. Now, the beauty of the auto loan refi, just like the personal loans, first, they get to put in what they wish to have. So let's say we do 50,000, just for the purposes of me doing this. And then the monthly loan payment, what's the monthly payment for the auto loan you're refinancing? Let's say you're doing 424. The estimated mileage, let's say you have 32,000 miles, just throw something in there. And then the vehicle ID type, you're going to put the make, the model, etc. And it's taking you one step at a time. So very user-friendly, very user-friendly. Now, at the end of it all, they don't have to call you, even though you're the one that helped them become the client on this platform. Someone from the company and their loan department will reach out to them for the remaining logistics. And the initial offer that they will receive on screen comes from a soft credit pool. So they don't even have to continue if the terms that they were given was not something they were ready for or not something that they truly wish to accept. No damage done to their credit file, but it was as simple as navigating through to find the right match for them at that given moment in time. Now, the same way we could do it for an auto loan, for those that have those pesky student loans, we can have it done for them as well through here. Anyone who bought the house, wants to do the kitchen, they can go ahead and get a personal loan here, or maybe they had 3 or 4 credit cards remaining and they are now trying to restructure their budget. So they want to do a personal loan, bundle up all those credit cards. So now they've consolidated the credit cards in one personal loan, which most likely will have a lesser interest rate than all the variable interest rates on those credit card lines. So they have their mortgage loan, one personal loan, and perhaps a car loan, and then the utilities and everything else. So you're also providing them another facilitation to helping them rebudget once that home purchase does take place. Now, let's say you find somebody who the dream is to get into their own rental, like an 18-year-old, for example, who probably doesn't have sufficient credit already established, or an immigrant who came in and maybe they don't have enough credit established. So you know they're not your buyers just yet, but you want to be able to start building that pipeline of futuristic leads and buyers. You can help them initiate credit. Because as a rep for this company, right, for this service, then you are able to offer establishing personal credit. And if you have friends that do have businesses, but maybe they don't have business credit either, you can help work develop business credit for them, which in turn may become your next commercial property sale, right? Or you can also help them fund their business, get that funding and invest in another property. So as long as it's for business growth or business operating, like payroll and so forth, then these are also tools available. And then last but not least, we help our clients with their day-to-day medications as well as prescription medications. They receive what is called a discount card, which saves them up to 80% off of what a prescription drug may be. So even somebody with insurance, if their copay is really high, I always tell them, try your Clever RX card as well and see if they can beat, if not, they're not going to match it, because if they're going to match it, they'll go with their insurance. But if they can beat your copay price, then utilize the Clever RX and get your medications at a discounted rate. The video is also embedded there as well. So we are helping people align their finances, but at the same token, we are also helping them live life. Because one of the reasons why many people fail at doing it all on their own is because it is a commitment. And so they go extreme. It's kind of like a dieting. I obviously failed dieting. I'm going to be totally transparent. When you do it on your own, right? You go extreme. All of a sudden you gave up all your carbs. You gave up all your sugar. You only eat protein. You're only eating this. And what happens is that's not life. Because if you go to a network function, and you like a little wine once in a while, then that's where the off balances take place. And then what you did, one little cheat habit became a day habit, became a week habit, and you're back to square one. And so I tell people, when you have the guidance and a consistent accountability program for you, the magic happens. And before you know it, it's like riding a bicycle. It becomes automatic. And so the start may be a little wobbly, but the end result is you will have it all under your control. And if you decided that you splurged one, back on track, okay? Now, client, $179.89 a month, no contracts. Now, I do want to throw out there, and again, I'm not going to go into depth about that today, but I do want to throw out there that all of these services that you are seeing are also a benefit to anybody who represents by adding the services to their own professional portfolio. So it's not that you are working for a company. In fact, will entrust 2 powers of attorneys on its own, or you can offer the entire program. And so this right here, ladies and gentlemen, and I think for the cases of today, I believe they're all ladies, it is a tool that can benefit you. It is a tool that can benefit you as a professional by opening up leads for potential buyers, by creating that loyalty and developing that relationship. And it's also a gateway into a network of other professionals that can also tie in back to you as a referral source. So if you are interested in the conversation of how to also be able to benefit of those services, you personally, and how you can leverage that as a realtor offering these services now marketable to your client base or to clients in general to open up your real estate base, then that's a conversation we can have later. And it's as simple as just giving out, sending a message to me, or if you see me in Canvas Real Estate, whichever is easiest. But I will put my number in the chat box right now. It is 305-926-3914. You're going to see Marlene Gonzalez's profile picture, but it's me. And at that point, we can have the conversation as to how this can take your real estate business up one more notch, okay? And with that, I'm going to say I am done with everything to show you for now. And if you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself or type it in the chat. Although a few of you I already know on a personal level in the office. Otherwise, if you come across this recording through the YouTube channel, do not hesitate with any question you may have to reach out to me, because I can definitely clarify, and then we can actually take the conversation a different route if interested in adding this to you as a professional realtor in opening up potential buyers. Okay, have a great day. Happy Wednesday to everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a great one.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have a good day.
Welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.